Welcome to A Day in Tech. My name is Ade, and today we're going to be doing a simple work from home PC build. Now, the reason why I'm doing this PC build today is because I remember a few years ago when I first got started into building computers, I was a bit intimidated by the process and the different components that were involved in actually putting together your own computer. But after building my first computer and putting together a few more computers after that, I found the process to be fun and also a bit more interesting and easier than expected. So with all that said, I just wanted to show you how simple it is to put together a not over the top PC, but a PC that would be able to give the majority of your basic needs in addition to gaming. So let's get started. To start off this build, we have Gigabyte's A320M Motherboard. This entry-level board costs about $70 and will get you started with most of your computing needs. For memory, we have 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 RAM with speeds of up to 3200 MHz. These two sticks will run you about $67 and will be more than enough memory for light gaming, video editing, and other productivity programs. At the heart of this build is the AMD Ryzen 3 2200G processor with Radeon Vega 8 graphics, which was purchased for a little bit under $200. The reason why I decided to go with this CPU is because it is actually an APU, meaning that this processor has integrated graphics which will enable you to do light gaming without the need of a dedicated graphics card. Now, of course, this is dependent on the resources needed by the games you are playing, but it will be able to run some of your most popular games such as Fortnite and Call of Duty on low settings. Please don't expect to be pushing 100 frames per second while having the best graphics. This APU will not give you those capabilities. Stay tuned for the rest of the video where I do test out a couple games with this APU alone versus adding a dedicated graphics card. The difference in results are night and day. This APU will get you started if you do not have it in your budget at the moment to purchase a dedicated graphics card. One of the great things about this APU is that it actually comes with its own CPU cooler. The benefit of a CPU cooler is its ability to dissipate the heat that is generated from your CPU, all while preventing your hardware components from heat damage. So, if you are doing heavy gaming, video processing, or running applications that are CPU intensive, it is very pertinent that you have a CPU cooler that will be able to cover your needs. So after installing the memory, CPU, and CPU cooler onto the motherboard, you would then have to install the motherboard into the case. Depending on the type of motherboard you purchase, you may or may not have to install an I/O shield into the case. The I/O shield is what protects the inputs and outputs of your motherboard from becoming damaged as it sits inside of your PC case. Now, speaking of the PC case, I went with the white H510 case by NZXT. NZXT is one of my favorite manufacturers for making PC cases. This is because the designs are aesthetically simple, allows for superior cable management, and are usually priced pretty fairly compared to other competitors. This case was $70 at the time of purchase. One thing to note is that when you are picking out your PC case, it is important that the case itself supports the type of motherboard you purchased. So for the H510 case by NZXT, it supports mini ITX, micro ATX, and ATX motherboards, and since we went with the A320M motherboard by Gigabyte, which is a micro ATX board, this allows for upgradability to a bigger and better motherboard down the road, considering that this motherboard is entry level and does not have all of the bells and whistles such as wireless adapter, 4 DIMM slots, or the ability to overclock. Considering that this particular PC was built for a family member who would not be doing any gaming or video editing, we went with a 250 gig solid state hard drive from Samsung and a 2TB internal hard drive from Seagate, which can be purchased for around $40 for the solid state drive and about $50 for the internal hard drive. Last but not least, to power the whole system, we went with EVGA's 500 watt power supply. At a cost of just under $50 and a rating of 80+ certified, this power supply is just what we needed to supply power to all of the components and also leaves room for upgrades in the future. As I stated earlier in the video, NZXT cases are pretty amazing because they are designed with cable management in mind. After connecting all of the necessary cables from the hardware components and into your motherboard, you will then be ready to install Windows onto your new computer and then be on your way to using a new PC as you desire. In order to install Windows onto your new PC, you will have to create and download installation media onto a blank thumb drive, which can be found on Microsoft's website at no cost to yourself. You will also have to purchase a new Windows key, which can be found online for about $15. After installing the Windows installation media and booting on your new PC, You would then be able to select the hard drive you would like to install the operating system onto. If you do have a solid state drive, I highly recommend that you install the operating system onto that drive for faster boot up speeds. So as I promised earlier, here are a couple clips of me playing both Call of Duty and Fortnite using just the APU. Now as you can tell, playing and recording Call of Duty was a bit cumbersome. On low settings I was averaging anywhere between 20 to 30 frames per second, which did not lead to an enjoyable gaming experience. There was a lot of stuttering and the quality was not as great as it could be if I was gaming on a dedicated graphics card. One thing I can say is that even though the gameplay was a bit choppy, I was still able to hold my own and earn best play of the game. Now compared to Call of Duty, playing Fortnite while using just the APU was a much better experience. Because Fortnite does not use as many resources as Call of Duty does, I was able to have an enjoyable gaming experience with an average of 30 frames per second while recording using just the APU. Don't judge my gameplay though, I know I suck. After testing out the PC's gaming capabilities while using just the integrated graphics on the APU, I decided to install my old GTX 1060 graphics card. As expected, there was an immediate increase in frames per second and in performance, which led to an amazing gaming experience overall. Surprisingly, while playing Nuketown, I ended up with just over 75 kills, which is by far the best performance I have ever attained while playing this game. I hope you enjoyed this little small clip just as much as I did and helps you further understand that even though you may choose to purchase just an APU for the time being, there is room for improvement in performance if you decide to add a dedicated graphics card in the future.
Wasted her. Damn, this is fucking grenade. That is amazing. Let's go. We kicked this sorry asses. Let's go. That's amazing, baby. Gameplay. Stun inbound.
So there you have it. I hope that you learned something new today, and if you did, please let me know below. Like this video, comment, subscribe, and also let me know what was your first computer that you've ever used. Mine was the old school Apple computers with the rainbow emblem and the big old floppy disks. I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.